one of the most breathtaking media day sites in the FBS. Sunshine, boats, and a whole lot of lobster being prepared ahead of tonight's meal at Gurney's Hotel and Resort here in Newport on beautiful Goat Island. As we gear up for football season, we'll take in a one-of-a-kind sunset behind us as coaches and players from the American settle in at the annual Clambake. Excited to have you join us this evening as we open the playbook to the 2018 season. For the next hour alongside Andy Katz, I'm Haley Outen. Andy, how special is this event compared to other football media days going on around the country?
Well, look, I'm biased. I don't know if I'm Mr. Newport or the mayor soon to be, but I will tell you, since I live here in the summer, this is America's paradise. So why not have the American consistently have its football media day? There is no better place in the United States to host an event like this. Look over our left shoulder, over our right shoulder. We got the harbor, we got boats on both sides of us, and there was all this chatter of rain. Forget about it. In Newport, we got blue sky, a beautiful evening for a great event.
Couldn't have asked for a better night. And coming up, we have interviews with coaches, players, and special guests. We're going to learn the tricks of the trade when it comes to cracking a lobster. And we're going to put our student athletes to the test and see how prepared they are for tonight's meal. But before we get to any of that, the conference is celebrating a special milestone, its 5-year anniversary. Andy, in 2013, many wondered if the American would survive the shift in the college football landscape. It's 5 years later, 2018, and the American has not only survived, but they've managed to thrive and be in the national conversation. How has that happened?
Well, first of all, I think it was a legitimate concern. I mean, anytime there was reshuffling in the alignment, and that was an era where there was massive restructuring and breakup of this league and the Big East and the Americans splitting off and forming different leagues. From a basketball perspective, I think everyone knew it was going to be successful. The question was what would happen in football. And what we saw last season with UCF, going undefeated, claiming a sort of a mythical, if you will, a national championship, but being in the discussion for the college football playoff. UCF and Memphis, 21-1 going into that championship game, having 2 teams from each division on the national stage. That was massive for this conference. We've seen before, Houston has been in the national picture where they've had a run getting close. There's been upsets where this league has knocked off some of the, quote, power conference teams, if you will. But just being in the conversation late into November, into early December, that's what this league needed to do. And I think UCF's undefeated season last season, its overall 9 bowl affiliations with this conference, shows that this league has the respect among the bowls, the television networks, and certainly the players and coaches and national media to be in contention for the discussion every year. Look, not everyone gets in the college football playoff, not all the leagues do, but yet this league was at least right there on the doorstep.
Exciting day for the conference. Just a few hours ago, they announced their 5-year anniversary team made up of the top players that have made their way through the American in its short but storied history. And a big part of that history has come during New Year's 6 bowls. 3-0 for the American in the New Year's 6. Andy, how do each of those statement wins build the league's credibility?
Well, what you got to do in the non-conference when you get the opportunity is knock off these teams. And unfortunately, a lot of times you don't get them on your home field. You know, sometimes there are home and homes, but on the neutral fields back in November, if you're pushing January, that's where you can make your sort of signature statement. Look what Houston did that year I was talking about in 2015 in the Peach Bowl when you knock off a traditional power in Florida State out of the ACC. And then this victory last December in the Peach Bowl. So you got back-to-back Peach Bowls 2 years apart, but UCF to knock off Auburn, a team that consistently has been near the top of the SEC, a team that can beat an Alabama and yet get beaten by UCF and give up 34 points. That was certainly a significant win for UCF. And one other point on this that I think we can mention here is Scott Frost, the head coach at UCF, he goes to Nebraska. It was probably the one job he was going to leave UCF for, and yet we're going to talk about this program over the next 2 days that is consistently going to be near the top of this league. And that shows that you can survive a coaching change. That means you've made it. Okay, that means that you are in a conference where you can deal with a succession and still be okay. And that's what's going to happen at UCF in their succession from Frost to Heupel, from Josh Heupel. They're going to be okay and still compete at the top.
We're going to talk about some of these top moments over the course of this two-day event here in Newport, but talking about the 5-year anniversary team now, it's important to note the selection process. One of the criteria was that these players had to be a first-team all-conference selection. Then it was up to the media and the fans to vote at home. So let's go ahead and show you who was named to this year's anniversary team on the offensive side. And no better way to kick it off than with the quarterback from Navy, Mr. Keenan Reynolds, the 2015 Offensive Player of the Year. He set an NCAA career record for touchdowns, and he is currently playing for the Seattle Seahawks. Then taking a look at that running backs group led by Tulsa's D'Angelo Brewer, the two-time all-conference selection, and USF's Marlon Mack, who was the 2014 Rookie of the Year, and he's currently playing for the Indianapolis Colts. Then that wide receivers group, a lot of big names in that one. ECU's Zay Jones, he was a 2016 Biletnikoff Award finalist, and he set the NCAA record for career receptions, and he was an academic All-American as well. Then last year, these two names heard their names called rather in the NFL draft, Memphis's Anthony Miller and SMU's Cortland Sutton. Tight end, UCF, Jordan Akins gets that honor, and then a group that does a lot of the thankless work, the offensive tackles from USF, Kofi Amichie, Temple's Deion Dawkins, and Cincinnati's Eric Leffield. Offensive guards, two Navy guys, E.K. Binns and Adam West, and then rounding out that offensive team, the center from Temple, Kyle Friend. Andy, who really sticks out to you from this group?
Well, I'm going to start with Navy's Keenan Reynolds. I mean, I think this is hugely significant, the fact that he gets on this list ahead of Blake Bortles, ahead of Teddy Bridgewater, Bortles from UCF, Bridgewater from Louisville. You could even mention Greg Ward of Houston or Paxton Lynch of Memphis. And Reynolds, plays for the Seahawks. He was 5th in the Heisman Trophy voting. 2015 Offensive Player of the Year, really did everything for the midshipmen. I think this is significant that he's recognized in this group over the past 5 years. As for the receivers, you mentioned Zay Jones. I think you go with Miller and Cortland Sutton. I mean, those guys obviously were significant for each of their teams, but for Zay Jones from East Carolina, they've had a little bit of a rocky time during this 5-year tenure, but he sticks out as the most significant player, I think, during those 5 years, was able to set NCAA records and really be, when you're struggling, you still need your specialists, your skill position players to give you those big plays. And that's what Zay Jones did for East Carolina, put them sort of, made them relevant even when they were struggling a little bit.
Yeah, Zay Jones certainly left his mark at ECU, beating out his own teammate Justin Hardy, who had previously held the NCAA record for receptions. But let's move on to the defensive 5-year anniversary team. Starting off with the defensive linemen, 5 guys from Temple, Matt Ioannidis, his teammate Hassan Reddick. Out of SMU, Justin Lawler, who was drafted to the Los Angeles Rams this past season. And then from Houston, Ed Oliver. I know Coug fans are going to be very excited to see him suit up this year. And then from Louisville, back in 2013, Marcus Smith. The linebackers group from Memphis, Jannard Avery, the 2-time first-team all-conference pick. UCF's Shaquem Griffin, certainly a fan favorite and playing with his twin brother in the NFL right now in Seattle. And then from Temple, Tyler Matakevich and USF's Augie Sanchez. The cornerbacks group led by UCF's Jacoby Glenn, and then his teammate, who was a first-round selection this year, Mike Hughes, and Tulane's Perry Nickerson. Lastly, rounding out the defensive group, the safeties, UCF's Clayton Geathers and UConn's Obi Melifonwu. Andy, what names do you like out of this group?
Well, I'm going to cherry pick 2 here. Obviously, Ed Oliver from Houston, the fact that he's still playing, and yet he's already being recognized as one of the best defensive players in the 5 years of this conference. I think that's significant. He legitimately has a shot for the Heisman Trophy, which happens to be over my right shoulder, just hanging out here, making its rounds around media days this July. So the fact that Oliver's on this list, and Shaquem Griffin, really an anchor part of that undefeated defense, undefeated season last season for UCF, highly decorated for the Knights down in Orlando. So I think those 2 guys really stand out for the most for me from this list.
This might be the most beautiful backdrop
yes.
rather, the Heisman Trophy has ever seen. So not a bad setup. And these guys, rounding out the 5-year anniversary team, they don't get a lot of love, but they certainly play an important role, and that is our special teams unit, all from Memphis. Kicker Jake Elliott, punter Tom Hornsey, and the return specialist and the Americans' back-to-back special teams player of the year, Tony Pollard.
Well, I think what's significant here is you got obviously all 3 from Memphis, but the Memphis program had a great history for years. It was competing at times, knocking off some SEC programs. Then they had a bit of a down cycle, and now we've seen them come back up, certainly with what happened last season, winning that West Division. And to see 3 specialists on the special teams, on that list. That just, I think, is an indicator on how this program has grown to the point where this league needed it to be. You need a fixture in the South, not, in addition to the Florida schools, but you needed someone that's sort of in that SEC footprint as well in Memphis, having a great year and having great players like that.
What an incredible list, and one man very familiar with this list is going to join us here in just a few moments. He's an ECU senior offensive lineman. Andy, pretty neat to have a guy, a current player, playing as a sideline reporter tonight. What a neat opportunity it is for Garrett.
Well, look, he shook my hand earlier, and I don't think he's going to have any trouble if he goes over to the Lobsters, because those Lobsters have no shot with those big meat hooks he's got. He can snap that thing just like that.
He's excited to get to those Lobsters. And Andy, this guy, he's got a bright future. We have to watch out. He might be gunning for our jobs one day, but it's time to welcome in the third member of our broadcast team, Garrett McGinn.
What's up, guys? This is Garrett McGinn, coming to you live from Rhode Island for the American Conference Media Day. I'm here with Wyatt Miller. What time did y'all get in today?
We got in around 11 o'clock. Went and got some lunch, filled up. Not too much, though, because I heard there's like a lobster eating competition or something.
I think there's something like that going on,
so
right?
I tried to save a little room and trying to break this thing wide open.
All good?
What, do you have a goal for tonight, what you're going to try to eat?
You know what? I don't like to set a goal in this atmosphere, because I just feel like it's unlimited, and my potential is just outrageous.
Oh, you have a high ceiling is what the coaches like to say.
Exactly.
So are you going to put your teammates to shame, or do you think they're going to give you a close race?
Well, I'm going to throw out a dark horse right now. Not many people have been talking about Pat Jasinski, but I've seen that kid eat, and you know what? He can put him down.
I heard that kid's an animal,
He is
both
an
on
animal.
and off the field.
He is an animal. You know what they call him is Savage Pat.
Savage Pat. How do you get that name?
Well, man, you really don't want to know. Savage Pat. Just know.
I think we'll save that for off the air.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Garrett, and thank you, Wyatt. I actually had a chance to spend some time with Wyatt earlier.
good.
We'll be running that feature on tomorrow's live show. We spent some time with the GOATs here on Goat Island, but we now welcome onto the set UConn head coach Randy Edsall. Coach, great to see you here in Newport. Beautiful event, and as you prepare to head into year two, when you look back, what were you most proud of in year one?
Well, that's a tough question, because again, we wanted to do better for the kids and get more wins. But I thought the one thing is, I thought the transition for them, they handled it as well as they could have, and now moving forward, you can see that they understand what we have to do in order to be successful. So I think that's the biggest thing, that they've accepted the change in culture in terms of what we have to do in order to be successful year in and year out.
Randy, so often we were looking at those games last year, there were multiple chances late in the games for you guys, and it was getting those defensive stops. How do you tweak that going into year two?
Well, I think the one thing is everybody understands the defense a little bit better. Personnel-wise, we probably weren't as suited, because they were more suited for a 4-3 defense rather than the 3-3 defense that we're going to play. But now we got guys in positions that understand and fit what we want to do a little bit better, because we think that's the way to go based on who we have to play week in and week out. And that to me is the biggest thing. And we got guys in the right positions, and we're going to be a lot more aggressive than what we were last year, because quite frankly, some of the guys didn't believe in what we were doing. And so they didn't have confidence, and they went out there and didn't play with confidence. You can't do that. You got to play with confidence. Guys believe in what we're doing now. They believe in the system, and now they'll play a little bit faster, and they'll be able to execute a little bit better.
How would you compare the challenges of building up the first time when you guys got to the Fiesta Bowl, and now sort of Randy Edsall 2.0 at UConn, trying to get it back up to where you had it?
Well, the thing that we have now that we didn't have back when we first started is we have the facilities. So we have that. The thing that's different is the fact that what we have to do is upgrade the talent level and the speed and athleticism, which I thought we started to do, this year. And I think that's the biggest thing, because, the thing that I see right now with our team, last year we were like this. We had everybody was going in different directions. It was a me mentality. Now this year we got the closed fist. We got everybody together, and the leadership group, and Matt and Marche and Donovan, who are here with us, those guys have done a great job, because they've taken over not only making sure that they're accountable for everything, but they're holding their teammates accountable. And that to me has been the biggest change, is the accountability factor. And when you have that, you got a chance. And so that's why I feel really good as we head into the season. Now we got to, you know, our depth has to still get better, and we still got a lot of work to do, but at least we have that foundation of those guys making sure they're taking ownership of our team. And when you have that, like I said, you give yourself an opportunity to win.
You mentioned the players here in Newport with you. One of those is Donovan Williams. He came into UConn as a quarterback, and you switched him to wide receiver. Was that a tough decision for you?
No, it really wasn't, because when you see that Donovan's makeup and skill set, just felt that he would have more success at wide receiver. And those are the decisions you have to make as a coach. But ultimately, it's a personnel game. And what my job is to put the guys in the position where they can be most successful. Sometimes they might not agree with you, but you have to present it to them in such a way where they understand it. And I couldn't be more proud of him in terms of how he's handled that and the leader that he's become. And he's an example for our other guys to say, hey, it's not all about me. This way I'm going to be able to help the team more as a wide receiver, as a special teams guy, than I could be as a quarterback.
You know, one quick thing, Hallie, if I can jump in here, the opener, a month from now, you got an undefeated team essentially carried over. I know everything's different, but that game against USF at home, I mean, you know, to start the season, how can that change the narrative, if you will, or alter maybe what could happen the rest of the way?
Well, it's huge, and I embrace the opportunity that we get to open with them rather than, you know, playing an FCS school. Nothing against the FCS schools, but the focus that our team has had and has to have through the spring, through the summer, into preseason practice helps you as a coach. Now, if we can go out and be successful, now that builds a lot of confidence. And that's the one thing that we need to do. I mean, our team, I see, is they're more confident now because they believe in what we're doing. And they're embracing that. And that, to me, is one of the biggest things you got going, is if you can get them to be confident and go out and play fast. And what we got to do is get them to play harder, play more physical, and then play every play like it's the last play you're ever going to play. And if we do that, then we'll let the chips fall where they may. But I embrace the opportunity to open up with Central Florida.
Coach, we wish you the best of luck in year 2, and thanks for spending a few minutes with us here before you walk in and enjoy this clam bake. So great to see you, and thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to send it back over to Garrett McGinn.
Hey guys, this is Garrett McGinn, senior offensive lineman from ECU.
Thanks, Randy.
I'm here with Tyrone McCants, slot receiver from USF. You excited for this Launcher competition?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to see who eats the most, and I think I can hang with the big boys. So I'm gonna try to test it out today.
Local Florida boy, have you ever done something like this down in Florida?
Nah, where I'm from, we don't really have a lot of lobster. Seafood is more like, you know, gumbo type stuff. So I haven't really had that much lobster, but I'm ready to try it.
You know, they say half of the A50 is basically in Georgia. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no. It's up there. I think like the Alabama, Georgia is like only like 2 hours from where I'm from. So it's up there, but I'm still a Florida boy. So you know, I see what they're talking about, though.
I know exactly what you're going through. Being from Tallahassee, we're about 45 minutes from Thomasville, so all the guys on the team tried to say that I'm not even from Florida, and I just take it as smack. But at the end of the day, we all thrive.
Yeah, still Florida boys, though.
So back to you. Now we're going to finish it up. Back to you, Haley.
Thank you, Garrett. We are now joined by SMU head coach Sonny Dykes. Coach, first of all, not a bad welcome to the conference, right?
Yeah,
Here in
this is
Newport.
good. Yeah, first Clambake, first time in Rhode Island, a lot of firsts, so it's been fun.
Well, we're excited to have you, and now that you've had the spring and a little bit of the off season to evaluate your talent, what was your first impression of this group you inherited?
Well, you know, first impression was good culture in the program. I mean, guys work hard, they're good kids, you know, and sometimes you have to fix a culture when you take over a football program. And you know, real credit to Chad Morris and his staff. I thought those guys really did a good job of building a culture and recruiting kids that fit and you know, that we can all be proud of off the field and on the field both. But so that was encouraging. You know, the big thing we have to do though, we've got to get bigger. You know, we've got to get bigger. We've got to get stronger. We're going to have a little bit different style of offense. A little bit. You know, they wanted their linemen a little bit lighter. We want our guys a little bit bigger and stronger. And so you know, there's a little bit of growth that takes place because of that. But you know, good group of players. Really like our running backs. You know, I think that's going to be the strength of our team. Got 3 backs that I think are really good, solid players, and Ben Hicks, our quarterback, coming back for his 3rd year as a starter. So that's, from that standpoint, not bad.
Sonny, I'm thinking about your path here in comparing, Cal. But by the way, I think this view is better than the Bay Area. But okay. But good academic school that has had some history, sort of been up and down. SMU, kind of same deal. How would you compare the challenges when you took over Cal versus now taking over SMU?
Yeah, I think there are some parallels. I think that the thing that I really like about SMU, and I think that really attracted me to being there, is just everybody was on board. The president, AD, everybody understands how important football is. I think it really means a lot to the university to have success in the football program. I think that it's been proven that you can have a great academic institution and still be successful in athletics. And I think everybody understands that. Our president, Dr. Turner, is on board with that. We have a great AD, one of the best in the business, in Rick Hart. And so, that's where it starts. It's who you're working for, what's their vision. And we have a shared vision, and I think that's where it all begins. And if you don't have that, then it's going to be really hard to be able to get it done. And so that's what I'm most excited about.
So when we get to sort of mid-October, how will we know that there's a Sonny Dykes imprint on this team?
Well, our first 4 games are tough. We open up with a really good North Texas team that won 9 last year, and then host TCU, and then go to Michigan, and then play Navy. So our first 4 are probably as tough as any first 4 in college football. So, we've got to try to get through there and survive that and stay healthy and figure out how to win some of those ball games. But I think as we go through the season, we got to continue just to get tougher and get more physical. I think that's going to be the big thing for us is, I think people see, well, you're a spread guy, you go fast, you do all those things, and somehow that means you're not trying to play physical football, and that's one of the things we want to do. We want to be a very physical football team, and we want to run the football, and my background's air raid and all that, but we want to run the ball. We believe that if you want to win a championship, you got to be able to run the football, and it helps your defense, and you got to be able to play defense. And so that's our philosophy, and it's going to take a little bit of time to hit our stride, but I like the bunch. Like I said, they got a great work ethic. The attitude's been outstanding, and so I'm encouraged.
You mentioned the running backs group and your returning quarterback, Ben Hicks. What does having experience at the quarterback position allow you to do on offense in year 1?
Well, it means the world. When you have somebody that's been through it, Ben has been successful everywhere he's been. He was a great high school quarterback coming out of Waco, Texas, and won a lot of ball games there, and has a lot of maturity and has played in some big games, and so has done some great things the last 2 years at SMU. So I'm encouraged by what I saw from this spring. Now he's having to learn something a little bit different, and that's always a little bit of an adjustment when, you're learning a different scheme and a different way of doing things. But thought he got a lot better in the spring. I know he's had a really good summer. He's done a really good job of providing some leadership for our football team as well. So I'm excited about him.
One quick thing about the rivalry in the Metroplex area. In your short term so far there, what have you learned about the importance of that TCU game?
Well, I was at TCU last year with Coach Patterson, so I knew I got a little taste of what it was like.
Now you got the other side.
Yeah, I do. And boy, TCU's got really good players. So that's the one thing I came away with from my year at TCU was not only does Gary Patterson do a fantastic job coaching them, they've really recruited well. They've got really good football players, and so we'll have a work cut out that game. There's a little bit of a rivalry with North Texas as well, and so. We've got to.
But the fans, I'm sure, buy in a little bit more on the TCU
there's no
game.
doubt. No, there's no doubt. Well, that goes back 100 years.
Yes.
That goes back 100 years, but it's a great rivalry. TCU's had the upper hand here recently, obviously, and June upset TCU a couple years ago. June Jones when he was at SMU, and we'll have our hands full with those guys. But I know our players will be excited about it. And we play on a Friday night at our stadium, so should be a great atmosphere, and we're looking forward to it.
Coach, before I let you go, as you look ahead to that first game of the season, your first time running out of the tunnel with your team as the head coach, what do you expect that emotion to be like?
Well, it means a lot to me being from Texas. I grew up an SMU fan. I really did. I grew up in the Pony Express era, and Eric Dickerson was my favorite player growing up, and Lance McElhaney was my favorite quarterback. And it's funny now in our neighborhood, I see Lance riding around on a scooter sometimes, and it's still a little bit surreal. But I'm excited about being at SMU. It's a program that has great history, great tradition there. It's a fantastic place to live. We get to live right close to campus, and it's a great place to raise my kids, and just really excited about the vision that we have for our program. We're building a $27 million indoor facility, and so I think we're committed to having a successful football program. And so, there'll be a lot of emotions going through my head. Same old deal. You gotta you got to worry about doing your job, but hopefully, you know, we'll be able to look back on this experience 5, 6, 7, 10 years, however long down the road, and have a lot of fun memories.
I don't think I'm alone in saying, I think there's no question that neighborhood around SMU is the best part of Dallas.
Oh, it is. No,
no question.
No question about that. All you have to do is ask my wife, Kate. She's here right now, and she'll tell you.
Plenty to do in Dallas. Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking a few minutes, stopping by the set. We're happy to have you, and best of luck to you here in year one.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot. Garrett,
okay.
What you got?
Hey, guys. Here with Anthony Gargiulo. What's your favorite part of this media day event today?
I guess so far is just coming out here, seeing all the guys we've been playing against for 4 years now, and seeing who we're going to be facing, I guess, this season. But just seeing everybody out here really is nice to see.
Kind of gives you a different perspective of everybody when you line up on the field against them, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot better than on field, because usually on field everybody's not as nice as they are now.
I definitely agree. I know this event is pretty nice and stuff like that, but how does this type of environment compare to the series y'all had a season with, coming around you guys day in and day out?
Well, it was a great experience. It definitely was similar with all the cameras and the mics and everything getting attached, behind the scenes stuff. But you know, it was a real fun time with Showtime and the season with guys, especially the camera crew. They were with us all the time, 24/7, doing everything we did. So it was a good time.
After that show kind of aired and all that stuff like that, did it change campus life or y'all's day-to-day life?
No, to be honest with you, we just ran a normal life and did what we usually do. They were just there in the background because they wanted us to be as normal as possible, obviously. But to be honest, I didn't really see a change before or afterwards with them.
So I need an honest answer. Was it kind of cool seeing a whole episode about you and your family?
Yeah, it was a good time. It was good up until everybody that I knew and all my family started watching it and going, you know, why did you say that? Sal, you look so big, or all this stuff, and the brothers. And it was good though. It was.
It sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Yeah, no, it really was.
Well, that's all for me and Anthony over here. Back to you, Haley.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Dominance for a 4th straight year. Quaso from 30!
Unbelievable.
And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle.
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions
while at the game.
The American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Welcome back to the American Kickoff Clambake Live Show alongside Andy Katz. I'm Haley Outen, and we have our chef of this evening's event, Fritz Lazarus, here to show us what goes into cracking a lobster. And you know what, I got to admit to you right off the bat, I'm a perfect candidate. I have never done this before. But first I want to ask you, before we get into this, we got to get a little background of tonight's event. What time do you start preparing for this meal for all these great people
Well,
around
we
us?
started yesterday actually prepping, but the actual fire itself we cooked the lobsters on, we started about 5:15 this afternoon.
How many lobsters are you making today?
We got 354.
Dang, okay. So cook time is roughly around what in the fire pit?
We burn the bake for 1 hour.
Okay.
And then after 1 hour, we put seaweed down, we put the lobsters down, the corn, the mussels, clams, and potatoes. Cover that up and cook that for an hour and a half.
Okay,
right, so I got a question though, Haley.
Go, Andy.
If I want lobster salad,
yeah.
Okay, how many lobsters do I need to make a good lobster salad?
How much lobster salad do you want?
Well, I mean, if I want at least, 2 sandwiches,
two lobsters.
2 lobsters.
Yeah,
so it's 1 lobster per.
Pretty much.
So if I go to a restaurant and I say I want a lobster salad sandwich, I'm basically getting 1 lobster.
Exactly.
All right. By the way, you butter or mayonnaise? Which one you like? Mayonnaise.
Yeah, mayonnaise.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, show us how we do this.
So first things first, we get the bands off. All right, take the tail.
Ooh, good crunching sound.
The tail, 1 claw, crack that, and that's it. That's how we crack our lobsters.
Well, wait a minute. Wait. Now, so right off the bat, I'm going tail. Yep. Which order would you say is better to go?
I always go tail to claws. Always.
Okay.
Yeah, always tail to claws.
I don't like the stuff that looks very brainy. Where's the brainy stuff?
It's all in there.
Do you eat that too?
No.
What other area don't you eat?
I'll eat anything but that.
So anything but the head?
Yep, the legs are pretty much my favorite part.
But sometimes it's hard to get anything out of it. It's like a straw. You're sucking the straw.
Gotta work on it. Gotta work. It's work. It's a lobster.
It is. It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You are working for your meal here.
Andy, I feel like you're an expert at this. Andy's Mr. Newport. This is home for him. So did you just, like, what you just saw, is that something you're doing regularly? I feel like we have to do this.
I've never like been able to crack it that quickly.
Okay. I think we got to put the gloves on.
First of all, I don't have a tool like this. That's the key.
So what do we do for the lobster
You're not handing
rookies?
in restaurants,
Like, walk me
they're not
through
handing
this.
this out.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys want to just put some gloves on.
All right.
A little bit of protection for you.
All right.
Not a lot, but it's a little bit.
Is this a lobster bib?
That is not. That's
okay. Not a lobster bib.
No.
Okay, gotta put the gloves on.
All right. So.
Well, I got a busted glove here.
I'll get you a new one there. There you go.
It's tough to get these on in the humidity, huh?
All right. This should be the easy part.
No, we'll get this eventually, guys. Just stay with us, a while as we get these gloves on. Well, while we do this, let me ask you, what's the biggest mistake a lobster rookie makes when they're doing this?
Overcooking lobster.
Overcooking it. Okay.
It's very easy to do. When you overcook a lobster, it gets rubbery.
Are you watching this?
And it's just not as enjoyable to eat. So.
All right, you see this?
All right, so
got my knife. First thing, I'm going to flip these things here.
Put it right underneath.
Flying these off.
There you go.
It's sharp.
Yep.
Okay.
The lobster.
There
over there. If I remember this correctly, he went with 1 swap right here.
And just take the tip of your knife, put it right in there.
Okay.
Other way.
Up.
Okay.
I'm already doing this wrong.
All right, just like that. All right, hold the lobster with the other hand. There you go.
All right, I think he went. Did he go here?
Going all the way down.
Oh, he went mid claw.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay,
Whoa.
good. Everybody stand back. Stand back.
What happened to my bib?
Oh my God.
Wait a minute.
Maybe a face
Here,
mask?
I got you a napkin. Oh, wow. Okay.
Wait, I got the other side.
Here you go.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
We're up.
Where was
okay.
my bib?
Now
So here?
Grab it just like that.
Okay.
So.
Oh,
I needed a smock.
left-handed?
Where's the smock? I need one of those
Guys,
smocks.
I feel like I don't want that to happen to me. Okay.
Look at this.
This isn't going well, Chef.
Turn it this way.
All right.
Okay, I'm right-handed, so.
There you go.
Now I think I've earned this. Can I try it?
I'm really putting the whole
Can I try
log-
it?
I think mine's broken.
Give it a whack.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
It's
All
not
right.
going to bite you. There you go. There you
Okay.
go. All right.
All right.
Yep. Perfect.
Oh,
Okay.
you gonna try it, Haley?
You're not gonna make me try this.
Yes. Why
You're
not?
gonna make me
Are
do
you
this.
allergic?
Maybe.
Oh yeah, we don't want
So
to.
okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably gonna be frowned upon for admitting this, especially on air. I've never tried a lobster, mostly because
Never
I'm terrified.
tried? And you live in
I've
Rhode
never
Island?
tried. I know. Yeah. What do I do if I'm gonna try this for the first time? What's the best part?
Well, the best part.
Yeah, give me the best part because This is not up my alley. So don't let me down.
Tail.
Okay. This is a big deal.
Right here.
All right, so what's that black thing right there? I don't want to touch that.
That's the roe.
What?
The roe.
What does that even mean?
The eggs of the lobster.
I got a female?
Yeah.
How do I know I got that's you don't know you got a male or a female till you open her up?
No, actually you can tell. So this is a female right here. It's got a larger tail.
Okay.
And this is actually male right here. It's got a smaller tail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the difference.
Well, Chef, this has been fun. I just tried my first bite of lobster. I'm actually Like, I could probably take another bite. So this is a good step in the right direction for me. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for walking us through this. We're expecting a great meal here tonight at Gurney's as the sun is getting ready to set behind us, and we're going to send it over to Garrett to see what he's got.
Hey guys, I'm here with Matt Part. So, being from New York, have you ever done anything like this?
No, it's my first time in this lobster bake. Just really looking forward to it. Looking forward to some good food and good conversation with good guys, man.
So, are you more looking forward to the lobster or meeting some of the guys that you're going to be going against this next year?
I kind of know some of the guys I've gone up against, some of the guys I just met recently, but definitely looking forward to lobster because I heard it's like amazing here.
Okay. So, are you looking forward to coming to Greenville, North Carolina?
Yeah, most definitely.
We always have great battles. Looking for another great one this year, but today maybe we can get a little lobster battle going on. Who do you think would put down more between you and me?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll definitely give you a run for your money. I might look skinny, but you know.
You definitely have a well put together frame, but I don't know. I think I'm a pretty chubby kid at heart.
Hey, bro, I'm a big guy too. O-line to O-line.
The only thing that's guaranteed is every single lobster would be hurt in that event. We can't say that no lobsters would be hurt in the filming of this event. That's point blank period.
Most definitely.
So, but at the end of the day, what team would you say you're looking forward to best talking to today?
The best talking to? Definitely want to get to know the guys from probably SMU. I've not talked to them at all for the most part.
Do you have any guys that you went to high school or that are playing against some of the teams you're going to be playing against this year?
Actually, no. None of the kids from my high school have gone to play in this conference. Yeah, none of the guys. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to make some lifelong friends, and I think I just made one.
Hey, bro. We're part of our online culture.
Did we just become best friends?
I think we did.
I think we did just become best friends. So that's it from me and Matt. Haley, back over to you.
Thank you, Garrett. We are now joined here on the set by ECU head coach Scotty Montgomery.
Have I cleaned up?
Yeah,
I whacked that lobster. It's splattered everywhere.
All over the papers.
Stains, clothes.
Don't judge us for that.
How do they not give me a bib?
You look
good. I needed a smock.
Coach, well, thank you for taking a couple minutes to talk to us today.
Awesome.
Heading into year 3, what are you most excited about with this year's group?
Well, the first thing that we're really excited about is that we have a lot of players that we have recruited and that we've been able to be around for a little over 2-3 years now, and it's just been exciting to watch the growth and the development of our guys that come through. We're also really excited about the growth of our football program, adding the huge project of the Southside Renovation Project, but really giving our guys the equipment room, the training room, the locker room, all this new things that they really need to be able to compete in the new world, in the new age of one of the best conferences in the country. So we're really excited about it.
Hey, before we talk about this team, we did our 5-year anniversary team, and Zay Jones was there.
Great.
On the offensive side, obviously, as a receiver from ECU. What has he meant to your program even after he has left?
Well, what he's done is he left a legacy of how to play the game, but also how to live away from it. And now we're not just preaching about what works to get to the next level, what works to graduate with a really high GPA. We have just really the blueprint in Zay on how to get it done. And now that respect has grown for the way you carry yourself off the field, the way that you can perform on the field, and just trying to be the best person that you can be. We can't say enough about Zay and his father, Robert, and his, just everything about their legacy at ECU has been big for us.
Yeah, it's always so key, not just what they do during their time there, but how they give back and represent the program. On the defensive side of the ball, you got new coordinator David Blackwell. Yeah. What should people expect defensively when they see this team?
Well, the biggest recruit, and we've done a great job recruiting, not only in the last couple of classes, but the class that we have coming in for next year is probably the best class in the conference at this point in time. The best recruit we've had this year was David Blackwell. There's no question about it. We had to beat some SEC schools on getting him here, but what you can expect to see is just a much more energetic defense that run to the football. We're going to use speed a lot more. We talked about speed a lot last year. We had a lot of speed on our team. I think it was ill-placed at times, and now we're going to use that speed from the edges and in the back end to really help us. So a great base defense, 4-down football team that will get after the quarterback and also make tackles in the open field. We're really excited about David Blackwell and his crew.
You mentioned Zay Jones, and there has been no shortage of wide receivers to come through this ECU program, and one of them is here in attendance with you today, Trayvon Brown. Why is he a special player?
First of all, he's a blessing to be around. He's had to work through a lot of things. When we first got there, a lot of people told us that, maybe he would never play football again, and he's worked through every single thing, and he's so resilient, continue to work. But he's probably the best framer of the football that I've been around. And I've coached some pretty good receivers, whether it be in college or in the National Football League. And he can just frame the football as well as anybody that I've been around, whether it's contested or non-contested. He has a way to put his hands on the ball and continue moving forward. He's really, really quick to the tuck, but he's a fierce, fierce competitor and probably the best athlete we have on our football team.
What's interesting, Scotty, is that whether it's by design or not, or because of the proximity, but ECU gets good games. And play North Carolina, Virginia Tech. You could argue on one side, okay, that makes it even tougher to climb back up. On the flip side, if you win those games, now you're ahead of these other teams in this league because you're getting those kind of quality games. How do you look at building that schedule now that you've, in the last couple of years, had more control over it, of what you want to do?
So we're definitely building a program. The schedule's a big part of it. I think, the things that we've done to build our schedule has been a big help for us. We talk about working the body, meaning that we're going to have to do the ordinary things a little bit better than everybody else, and then when it's time to take that headshot, we'll take it. Well, working the body is going to consist of us beating a team like Virginia Tech or UNC, and we're going to constantly try to go out and schedule those games because that's what we do at ECU. We play tough opponents. We don't run from it, and I think it's really good. We played NC State a couple of years ago, was victorious in that, and we had a lot to learn after that game. I learned a lot as a coach about how we threw everything we had at them against the wall, but we're still in it to win the AAC. And I think that transition and that understanding, not only in our program with our players and our fan base, we're going to continue to grow where we are. So I think it's important and critically important that we also add some games on our schedule that mean a lot in recruiting, but also geographically make sense for us to go play.
Coach, we've talked about your defense. We've talked about wide receiver here in attendance with you today. What is the quarterback situation heading into fall camp?
Reed Herring. We're just really, really excited about Reed Herring. I'm going to be a lot more involved on the offensive side of the ball. Tony Peterson, of course, is our offensive coordinator and will call the majority of the plays, but I'm going to get more involved. And the real reason is when you get better at quarterback, it makes coaches that used to coach quarterbacks want to come back and help a little bit more at the quarterback position. But as our kids like to say it, he is dripping in the sauce. I haven't really figured out what that means, but I think it has something to do with his swag. He's a tremendous, tremendous competitor, but I'm really more impressed with his command of our football offense and just make sure that he takes care of the football. He's done a great job so far, and we got some really good talent behind him, which also always keeps him on his game.
We're talking a lot of football, but I have to ask you, I think it's so neat. We have Garrett McGinn. He's our sideline reporter today here at the Clambake.
And another alum right here, with soccer.
Yes, he's been grabbing players, having great conversations. What kind of opportunity is this for him? What do you think he's doing? How do you think he's doing so far?
I think it's great. I think what it does is it shines a great light on ECU and our academic institution, and Haley, you are a big part of that as well. It shows that football players are more than just football players. I mean, not only is he an outstanding young man, but he's a communications major already has his degree, and he has put it all out there on the line and came out here today, and boy, is he soaking it up.
Before we let you go, Coach, as you get ready for the season, I know Pirate fans, I know them well, and I know they're itching for football season to get here. What message do you have for Pirate Nation as you gear up for this season?
Work the body. Listen, we have been through a lot. I know that we've been through a lot, but we knew that we were going to have to go through it to get to where we're headed. And boy, we're excited about where we're headed. We have recruited at a high level. I'm really, really ready to see all this hard work, all this work in the body, the collection of all these blows that we've thrown at the body to really come out and see it. And I'm going to tell you what, all of our fans, go out to Dowdy Bookstore and then go out to UBE and Stadium Sports, and let's go buy all this new product that we have coming out with Adidas and our new brand pattern that's coming out, and let's rock the stadium when A&T comes out there first.
See, I got another one for him. I got another motto for you. Retap the potential. You like that one?
Not as much as work the body,
but I'm saying,
retap the potential will work for you.
Because there's history.
Absolutely.
There's history of success there. Yep. So let's retap it and reach our potential.
Absolutely.
Bam.
Sounds
well, all I heard was shopping and UBE, and that's where I'm headed to get some Pirate gear this fall.
You get it.
I'm going to send it now over to Garrett McGinn, who happens to be joined by 3 of his teammates.
What's up, guys? I'm here with my fellow teammates, Alex Turner, Bruce Bivens, and Trayvon Brown. So, Bruce, I hear this is the first time you're ever going to have lobster. Are you excited?
No, I hate seafood.
You hate seafood, and you chose to come to a lobster event.
I'll try it out. I'm just kidding. I'll try it out.
All right. Well, hopefully it doesn't end up too bad. Alex, being from Houston, Texas, did y'all ever have anything like this?
Not really. Not usually at all.
What kind of stuff did y'all have in Texas?
Usually like crawfish bowls and stuff like that.
It's basically just a crawfish on steroids, right?
Basically.
Basically. Now, I know Trayvon Brown, being from Wilmington, he's probably had a couple things like this. Would you say?
Man, I had everything here, so I love it. I'm ready to eat.
Oh, so you going to eat more than all these guys?
Eat more than everyone here.
Even me?
Yeah, you too.
Okay. I don't believe that, but I'm going to ask you the most important question. Of all the guys here, who do you think has the best hair?
I'd have to say Garrett McGinn.
Great answer. Bruce?
No one.
No comment?
No one.
Okay. Trayvon Brown?
Gotta go with G, baby.
Appreciate that. This is come to you live with the ECU Pirates down in Rhode Island for the American Conference Media Day. Sending it back to you, Haley.
Thank you, Garrett. We're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to send it over to the moment that everybody has been waiting for, and that is the reveal here at the Clambake. Stay with us.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Scores! 3 strikeouts in a row. Dominance for a 4th straight year. Quaso from 30.
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle.
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments.
Profanities or other improper actions.
While at the game.
The American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
It's American Football Media Day here in beautiful Newport, Rhode Island. Alongside Andy Katz, I'm Haley Outen. The sun is just beginning to set behind us in the Newport Bridge, and it couldn't be a more beautiful setting. And the whole reason people come here, other than for a great meal, is to take in this reveal of the lobsters and the clams and the vegetables that have been cooking over
Which
this
you're going
fire
to eat tonight.
pit.
You're going to eat it.
I'm already on one step closer.
I
tried
had
some
it all
lobster
over me.
earlier. We're now going to send it over to Garrett, who is live by the fire pit.
Hey guys, I'm live with all the chefs that put together this great event for us today. I'm here with Chef Fritz, and he's about to reveal the main event for us tonight.
All right, so what we're doing for this evening is a traditional New England lobster bake. This is a style of cookery that the early settlers learned from the Wampanoag Indians who were native to the Rhode Island area. And what we do is a very similar version of what they did. What we do is we take a fire, we burn a fire for 1 hour. In that fire, we have granite stones that are just around here, same stones. Burn that for 1 hour. After an hour, we take a rock seaweed, which is native to this area. The rock seaweed has little pockets of water in it, and it kind of steams the lobsters as they cook. So for 1.5
We are having some technical difficulties over by the lobster fire here behind us, but now we're going to send it back to Garrett because it's working again. Garrett?
Sirloin steaks, fried chicken, garden salad, grilled vegetables, and for dessert we've got a peach and blueberry cobbler. So, so enjoy. So go through the buffet first, and then go see Patrick, Manny, Sean. They're going to have a lobster cracked for you, so you can have your plate of food in one hand and a lobster in the other hand. And,
Sounds delicious. Looking forward to it.
All right.
Andy, as we look here, the food is being carried from the fire pit to this tent right beside us.
See, you could eat the corn, the potatoes.
I can eat everything now. I'm like a seafood aficionado
Okay,
now.
all right. Well, you can't live in Rhode Island and not have any lobster.
I hear this same
Mad
speech every
chick,
you sound like my
little
parents.
beverage there, you know, I mean, everyone's enjoying themselves.
So what else, as we see all this, it's coming right behind
Smells
us here.
good.
What is the other seafood in this mix?
So we done?
Mussels?
Mussels.
And steamers.
And
Mussels and steamers.
Mussels and steamers. It all looks really good, and we're going to be enjoying
What
it
do you
here.
think, 300 lobsters?
300 lobsters. But you know what? They have the
We're
right
not going to
people.
discuss how much that is. Not cheap.
You know what, though? If you're going to have 300 lobsters, they have the perfect people in attendance to get the job done. You got the football players here, and they're all going to start getting competitive. Imagine that.
I'll tell you, I learned something here today, though, because when you order a lobster salad roll, I wasn't sure how many lobsters it would take to put into the salad roll, but you got to think of it like a 1-to-1 ratio.
That was a very good question. See, I don't have a lot. I've never really thought about the preparation
These are
of lobster.
important questions that America wants to know. How many real lobsters are in a lobster roll sandwich?
You tried the lobster that we sliced and diced here on the set behind us.
Did you get any lobster juice on you?
Well, because
I was a little too aggressive with that knife.
You
I think
took
that was
one.
my problem.
Well, everyone watched me struggle as if I couldn't. I think my knife was broken. That's what I'm going to say. But you took one for the team. I saw what happened to you, so I think I was a little hesitant. I went into it a little bit timid, so I don't think I got a fair shot. But I did try it. So would you say that there was butter involved in the
Yes.
making
Well, something
of that?
was splattering all over me. I will say this though, that you know, the reason it's so difficult when you go to a restaurant to crack a lobster with just the little knuckle things there or whatever, you know, we don't have these massive knives. They're not handing out these huge butcher knives to regular people in restaurants to get a lobster open. So that's why it was so much easier here than if you're just at a restaurant.
Okay, so your favorite preparation is lobster salad.
Yes.
What is like another dish people can do with a lobster?
I've had lobster tacos, which are very good.
Okay.
You can get those here in Newport as well. You know, everyone claims they've got the best lobster rolls.
Yes.
You know, all up and down the Northeast. I will say this.
And clam chowder, which
yes.
there's also that.
Yes.
I know that.
But I wouldn't have a lobster roll unless you are by the ocean. That's just me.
I think that's good advice.
Yes.
I know. I talked to some of the.
I think like that's sort of a given.
I talked to some of the Memphis staff that was walking through, and they're like, "We don't eat lobster a lot." And I'm like, "Well, you live in Memphis. There's a lot of great things going on in Memphis. Barbecue. They're known for their own things, but yeah, lobster. That's not one of them. That's what you come to New England for." We're now going to have Coach Philip Montgomery from Tulsa join us here on the set. He's been patiently waiting.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for being patient with us, Coach. Had to take in that lobster reveal. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it was. I mean, don't get that in Oklahoma very often either.
No?
True.
No.
They're not native?
There's, you know, down at Grand Lake, they didn't have many of those running around. So we can cover up a hog and do it, but not that.
People are getting hungry. We're talking about dinner a lot. When people come to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where's the first place you send them to grab some good food?
You know, we got a lot of mom and pop type places there, and I could go through and name a ton of different spots. I may get in trouble if I leave somebody out, but we've got some really great barbecue. We got some great steakhouses there. I really like the kind of hole-in-the-wall hamburger joints that you can find, kind of off the beaten path. You walk in there, you kind of look around, you're like, I don't know, and then all of a sudden food gets there. Outstanding.
All right, so let's look at last season. Forget the record. 5 losses were in the final minute. I don't have to remind you of that. But
no, you don't, but I appreciate you doing it.
Okay, but, you know, on the flip side, and we can be positive here, I mean, that says that you're right there. You're right on the doorstep. When you reviewed that, what did you see that you can sort of tweak that to just go the other way this season?
Yeah, you know, the other thing that we kind of have to talk about, and we're not making excuses for things, is, you know, we had a lot of injuries last year, a lot of key players that kind of went down, and so some young guys had to step into those roles. When you're talking about those really close ball games, that's when your old guys make plays for you. They come up big. They lead your football team. They've been in them, know how to react, and they can bring that young guy along with them. We did a lot of growing in those things, and so that's going to be beneficial for us in the years to come. You know, those guys, not all of them were back for spring ball, so those young guys got even more reps, and now everybody will be back by fall camp. but we've really focused in on the details. There's no small thing about anything we do in our program right now. If it's taking the right step, if it's the right hand placement, running the right route, getting the right check, there are no small details. Everything's important, and we want to make sure that we're on top of those.
So on the defensive side, 15 of your top 20 tacklers are back. You know, how much can that be the anchor for this team?
I think it has to be the anchor to it. You know, we've got to improve defensively. We were not very good on defense last year, and guys have really taken it upon themselves. I think guys are back with this hungry chip about them. Our leadership right now is at an all-time high, in my opinion. Guys came back in January really saying the right things, doing the right things, and they're holding each other accountable, which means so much more than me or another coaching staff trying to do it. So that's been vital for us, and I'm excited to see how that translates into fall camp.
A player that brings experience to your group this year is your wide receiver, Justin Hobbs. He's been a contributor since his freshman season. How can his veteran experience help lead your offense this season? Yeah, we need him to play big, and I really thought kind of midway to the latter part of the season, he really kind of played into that role. He's accepted a lot of responsibility for what we want to do. He's really taken hold of some things this spring, and I'm excited to watch him play. We've got to get back to being more explosive offensively, and he's got to be a key to all that.
You know, scheduling-wise, as you rebuild the program, you know, a lot of times these are done years and years out before you even get there. How much have you sort of taken control of that to put your team in position to where you can get over that hump?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could have more control over it, but I don't right now. I mean, you look at our schedule, I would put our schedule as far as being one of the toughest schedules in the nation this year. And
well, you're in that hotbed where teams are okay playing you, whether it's in Arkansas or schools in Texas.
You know, so we're going to Arkansas, we're going to Texas. We've got several others on the list there when you talk about Arkansas State and Central Arkansas, who was a 10-win team last year. Our schedule's tough top to bottom. This conference is what's the most important part of that, because everybody in this conference can play. Everybody's got good players, good schemes, and so there's not a week in there where you can sit back and say, hey, I think I can, if we'll just show up and play, I think we got this one. That doesn't happen on our schedule nor in our conference.
Coach, you're heading into your 4th season, and the seniors on this team have been with you throughout this journey. How meaningful has that ride been with them? Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, the comfort level that we have now together, I mean, they understand what I expect of them and vice versa. We've grown a lot together, you know, this being my first head coaching job, and those guys coming in as freshmen, we've kind of learned some things together through the process. But they know what to expect. They know what they're going to get out of me, and so I treat every one of them with as much love and respect as I can give them, but I'm going to coach them hard and I'm going to press them to be the best that they can be.
You know, one quick thing, you mentioned, you know, year 4. I'm curious, if you could go back, what would you tell Philip Montgomery on day 1 at Tulsa?
Learn to say no. I mean, everybody's going to pull at you, and everybody, you know, time is such a vital essence, and at some point in there, you've got to make sure that you can still have time for your family or still have time for this to happen or that to happen. You know, interviews are all going to be there. You don't have to say yes to every one of them. Just make sure you got enough time to get done what you need to get done before all the other comes in.
Coach, great advice. Thanks for stopping by the set, and we wish you the best of luck this season.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
appreciate
Coach.
it.
Garrett, we send it back over to you.
Hey guys, I'm here with John and Dottie. They got their bibs on and they're ready to try their first bite of lobster tonight.
Let's go. Here we go. Phenomenal. Spectacular. Really good.
Good. It's real good?
Real good.
Well, here you heard it here first. We got great reviews on the lobster. You guys want to try anything else? We got some steak, chicken, some veggies. I don't know why you got the veggies. I mean, we don't really eat a whole lot of that stuff. We'll leave that to Donnie. Oh, all looks. So we got all kinds of stuff going on. Ooh, got a nice little meaty rare action. Is that the way you like it?
That's the way I like it. That's what I wanted from the get-go. The chef knew me.
Let's hear it.
Oh, man. Unbelievable. This is the best place.
It stay good.
Is it real good?
Real good.
So being from Louisiana, do you eat seafood like this all the time?
All the time. Not lobster, but we eat crawfish, all sorts of other stuff.
So
Big old crawfish.
That's it. Big old crawfish that came.
Big crawfish.
Down in Florida, we call them mud bugs. Do y'all call them anything different?
Some people call them mud bugs, but crawfish is where it's at.
That's where it's at. That's the go-to?
That's the go-to.
If you had to say how many times you eat mud bugs throughout the year, what would you say? Over 10?
Over 10 for sure.
Over 50?
Around 50 to 100 probably, to be honest.
And that's probably why we're offensive line.
That's it.
And Donnie looks the way he does.
Yeah, for sure. That's how we move.
Well, that's it from us. Send it back to you, Haley.
Oh, I like the actual class time.
Thank you, Garrett. We are now joined here on the set by Yahoo Sports writer Pete Thamel. Pete, thanks for taking a few minutes. The sun is setting, so we're running out of time here in Newport. But how impressed are you with this event?
Oh, I mean, it's an unbelievable event. It's one of the great events in college sports. I really think there's a nice social aspect to it where you get to spend time with the players, spend time with the coaches, spend time with the athletic directors, get to know them a little bit. It's kind of a throwback in that sense, which I really appreciate.
All right, so let's go globally here. The league obviously started 5 years ago. Really, you could argue maybe a pinnacle with UCF's undefeated season. Memphis had a great year. What did last season tell you about this league by having UCF go undefeated and Memphis right there with them as they go in that championship game?
Sure. I think, Andy, when you look at the league right now, compared to where it was 5 years ago when it started, I think it's really exponentially grown. And there's great markets and great schools and dedicated universities, and they've survived a lot of turnover and great coaches and great athletic directors. And I really feel like the league is well positioned for the next step, which is going to be that television contract that will, negotiations will start in February with ESPN. And I really feel like, I don't know if it's quite the Power Six that they like to bang the drum on, but I do feel like this league has separated itself from the other four in that mid-level, an upper middle class echelon, if you will.
So Scott Frost leaves to go to Nebraska. Sure. I mean, you covered this, obviously. You know that's probably the one job for sure he was going to go and leave for. A lot of schools can't survive that. What do you think the chances are that UCF will be able to maintain at a pretty high level despite losing a guy that just led them to an undefeated season?
Sure. I think the best compliment to UCF as a program where it is, Andy, is that they were winless 2 years ago. So there is infrastructure there, there's great leadership there, and there are players. And you know what's the most important factor? Players. They have very good players. Mackenzie Milton, their quarterback, will be in all the conversations this year. And I think there was a very savvy hire in Josh Heupel who's going to keep the identity that Scott Frost had. There will be tempo, they will throw the ball around the yard, and they will basically try to blitz teams. And they were fun to watch last year. When it really comes down to it, a lot of these games get great exposure on Thursday nights, Friday nights, and I think UCF will continue on the plane where it was.
The conference celebrating its 5-year anniversary this week, and a whole list of accomplishments have occurred during that time. UCF kind of sweeping the headlines last year, but what would you anticipate the story to be for this league in year 6?
Well, I think when you look ahead to year 6, it starts with UCF, but I do think there is some depth. I think Houston will be a lot better. Ed Oliver is one of the best players in football right now, period. I do feel like Memphis, Mike Norvell, I think is the best coach in this league right now, and I think he's rebuilt that program and regenerated it. They only have 8 seniors, so I feel like they're going to be on the rise. Brady White, the transfer quarterback, is going to be good there. And so I do think you're going to see this league, you're going to push multiple teams into the top 25 throughout the year and kind of continue to grow. It's very difficult for a league to just rocket up, and I think that this league has done a great job in just slowly building and building and doing it the right way, and I think you'll continue to see that ascension this year.
Pete, can I just jump in real quick? Pete, you've covered alignment, obviously, in all the different ways that it's occurred across the country. Adding Wichita State in basketball was a very savvy move by Mike Oresco. But in football, the Navy addition, since it's been in this league, what do you think that's done for the American?
Unbelievable, and give Navy a lot of credit for paying Ken Niumatalolo to keep him. He's had opportunities to go other places. Oregon State, Arizona have knocked on the door recently, but I feel like the salary that they pay him and the dedication that they have to him and his staff there has really allowed Navy to continue to grow and sing, and they have such a distinct identity. Nobody wants to play Navy. We all know that. And I do feel like that was a very savvy move to get them in football and keep them, and they've been as consistent as anyone over these 5 years.
Pete, before we let you go, if you had to pick a sleeper team this season, who would it be?
I'm going to pick the Tulane Green Wave. They open up at home against Wake Forest on Thursday night. Wake Forest starting quarterback Kendall Hinton is suspended for that game. And I feel like Willie Fritz, if you look at his track record, it's a slow burn. They get a little better. They get a little better. Jonathan Banks, the quarterback who's here tonight, is an established guy who plays the way Willie likes to play. They had a lot of close games last year. I feel like they can make that next step this year.
Well, thank you for that perfect segue, because we are going to be joined here on the
He didn't know that. He didn't know that.
Tulane head coach Willie Fritz coming up next after this break. Pete, thank you for your coverage of this league and for taking a few minutes. Now go get some dinner.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We'll be right back after this break.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year. Quaso from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Power.
They got plenty.
Welcome back. We're live here in Newport at American Football Media Day. Now joined on the set by Tulane head coach Willie Fritz. Coach, you texting?
No, I'm trying to turn my phone off.
Just giving you a hard time. We appreciate you stopping by. We know dinner is underway, so we're going to send you that way very shortly. But your program the first 2 years has taken a noticeable step rather in the right direction. What do you hope in year 3?
Well, we hope to keep going in that same direction. We got a lot of kids coming back. I think I got 58 guys who lettered for us last year and 27 guys who've started at least one game at some point in time in their career. So, you know, our goal is to get to a bowl game, win a bowl game, and compete for conference championships. And, you know, we just got to do a better job of finishing. We were close last year, but that doesn't count when you're keeping score.
All right, so let's go to that. The SMU game. Inches.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've watched that over and over again. I mean, you guys right in the position to potentially flip the script on that season. When you're that close and you look at the offseason and evaluating, okay, what do we have to do to take that next step? What did you see in that game and at the end of the year that you say, you know what, we're just a couple of spots away from maybe flipping this?
Yeah. You know, we really accented finishing in everything that we did, and whether it was a classroom, community service, but you know, also in the weight room, spring ball, finishing sprints, all those different things, just to understand how, you know, the margin of winning or losing is really close, particularly in the American Conference. And we lost 4 games by a total of 12 points. We're close right now. We just got to play better in the fourth quarter. Got to coach better in the fourth quarter. So that's what we worked on.
What have you seen? I mean, this program has tremendous history. We know what happened after Hurricane Katrina, where everything sort of was displaced. But if you look back at that from, what, 05 essentially, you know, we're looking at 13 years or something like that. You know, since then, the growth of this program, the university, since you've been there, what have you seen, how things have really gone in the right direction?
Well, you know, we feel like you can be a very strong academic institution like Tulane is and have a winning football team and a great athletic department and program. You know, Stanford's shown that, Northwestern's shown that. There's no reason why Tulane can't do that as well. So we really emphasize the academics. We're 39th ranked academic school in the nation. We're I think in the American Association of Universities, there's only 10 Division I schools that play football that have that distinction. We're one of them. Playing a great conference. The American is, I don't think people give it enough credit. It is a tough league. And then we get to do it in the iconic city of New Orleans, #1 destination city in the world. So we got a lot to sell there.
Not a bad place to visit, Coach. For you this year, Jonathan Banks returning under center. What is experience at the quarterback position going to allow your offense to do this year?
You know, it's big time for us. Jonathan did a good job of coming in and embracing the culture and the offense and all those different things. But it was really the first time he'd ever started as quarterback at the Division I level. Matter of fact, he transferred to us from Independence Community College. Last chance, you either having that right now. So going from junior college to a great league like the American's a big step. And I thought the last 3 or 4 games he really showed a lot of improvement. And this spring, he really took it to another level. We think he's got an opportunity to be a draftable kid at the quarterback position, one of the top quarterbacks in the American.
Coach, before I let you go, you mentioned one of the goals for this team this year is to really finish out those games and get over that hump and get back to a bowl. What encourages you the most about this year's team that they're the group to get it done?
You know, I think that was a really tough loss that we had against SMU, and maybe the toughest loss I've had as the head football coach. But our guys bounced back. I love seeing the resiliency in them and you know they took to it the new motto and finishing and doing those things real quickly, and they want to be the class also that gets it done, that gets Tulane to be a consistent winner.
Well, the secret's out. Pete Thamel just sat right there and said, sleeper team, it's going to start with a win over Wake Forest.
Well, I bought Pete dinner when he's in New Orleans here a couple months ago.
That's what to tell people that.
That's why he said it. No.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you this season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm going to send it back over to Garrett.
Hey guys, I'm here with Mike. All the talk has been about the lobsters, but here we're going to hear about the clams and the mussels. So go ahead and take your first bite and tell me what you think.
It's pretty good. Not too bad. First time eating a clam, so.
Is it really?
Yep, not too bad though.
So where are you from?
I'm from North Jersey, Morris Plains.
So y'all don't eat seafood like this up in North Jersey?
Not that much. From around where I'm from, not too much.
So what would you, if you could pick your own feast, so like right now we have the lobster feast, what would your feast be?
To be honest, I don't know. I'll keep it simple. Pizza, burgers, fatty foods like that. If I could feast out now.
So you would have everything underneath the sun if it was up to you?
Basically.
You wouldn't have one single dish like chicken wings or spaghetti or nothing like that?
If you put in no sense, probably chicken wings. I'm a big wing guy, so yeah, chicken wings.
What's your favorite flavor of chicken wing?
Barbecue.
You don't like buffalo? You don't like those spicy foods?
Buffalo's all right, but I'm big on barbecue.
Okay. So when y'all have family barbecues, what's your favorite dish to make?
Still probably chicken wings. My dad probably grill up a couple wings, some steak, stuff like that, throw it on the grill. So
you're a man of many talents, you would say?
Yeah, you could say that.
All right. Well, that's it for me and Mike. Send it back over to you, Haley.
We're now joined here on the set by Cincinnati head coach Luke Fickell. Coach, thanks so much for taking a few minutes. I know dinner's waiting. We're going to get you over there soon. But as you head into year 2, where is this team poised to make the greatest stride?
Well, I think it starts up front. And, we've kind of said it through the offseason, taking a lot of strides, and not just on the football field, but building the locker room. And I think that's probably, as I look back at last year, one of those big things that through the entire season till the end of the season, you kind of realize the trust, the respect, the love kind of things that I love about football and the locker room was some of the things that we had to do our most work in. And so I think the whole off season wasn't just spent with football and weightlifting, but was building some of those bonds and some of those things that really last a long time.
So at the quarterback position, you could have pretty good competition for Hayden Moore. What are you looking forward to as camp starts up here pretty soon in terms of the competition at that position?
Well, I think that what we try to do is we talk about those units, and everybody's got their own unit, and what you really want to develop is that trust and respect and love within those units so that you can create what I say is a healthy competition. Because we all talk about competition and nothing makes you better but competition, but there's a difference. And healthy competition, meaning guys that trust and respect one another, that know they're going to go compete to make their team better and then be happy and excited for whoever that is. So to me, I'm excited about a healthy competition that's going to go on inside that room. Not just that one, but that one in particular, that's going to, no matter what, make everybody better.
But when you look at the positions, for a freshman to come in, how hard is it to be a freshman quarterback versus maybe any other position on the field?
Well, I try and tell those guys all the time. We sit down, and not that I've been a quarterback or have as much of an idea of exactly what goes on inside their head, but to me, it's the second hardest position in the world. The first hardest being the NFL quarterback, the second hardest being a college football quarterback, because everything is meant to manipulate you and take advantage of you and attack you. So those guys have a unique responsibility, they have a unique challenge, and it's going to be difficult. But that's why they're in the position they're in, and they chose to do it. We talk about that all the time, and I think that's what they love about it.
Coach, you're known for your defense. How does a defensive lineman like Cortez Broughton compare to other guys you've coached?
Well, I think that for us, Cortez is a guy with a lot of ability, and I think the whole thing we've one of the mantras for us in this whole season is how do we get our guys to play above their ability. We got a new defensive line coach in Steve Stripling, who's a longtime coach, has had some great players, coached a lot of NFL guys and pro guys, and his challenge is to build that relationship with Cortez and find a way to get him to play above his ability. And abilities are those natural God-given talents that they're here for a reason and got them to where they are, but how do we get those guys to play above that? I think that's a challenge for me as a coach, Coach Strip as a coach, and us as a defense, is how do we get him in particular, but especially our better players, our seniors, those guys who play above their natural God-given gifts.
You've been in the state of Ohio a long time. When you look at the Cincinnati program, from when you saw it from afar to now being in the trenches, how have you seen it grow?
Well, I think just in our time here of just the the culture everybody talks about, but culture is not just developed, culture is also recruited. And I mean that in the sense that we're not just recruiting Ohio kids, but it just happens to be that 15 of our 19 kids from a 300-mile radius come from the state of Ohio, but we really want to focus on that 300-mile radius, and that gives us the idea that we're going to have a great grasp and concept of who those guys are, where they come from, the programs they come from, the cultures they come from, the things that have been expected of them. And I think that's one of those things in recruiting, the better job you can do at finding the right ones, not just the best ones, who's rated the highest, who's got the most stars, but the right ones. The ones
who
that are
fits what you want to do.
And I don't just mean scheme-wise. I mean your environment, your culture, the expectation level, what you expect for your guys to do on a daily basis. Because if these guys aren't in a position, in a situation that's, I don't know, I'm saying comfortable, because you got to be uncomfortable at times, but in the right environment for them, I don't know that they grow to their fullest potential. And that's what we got to do our best job at doing.
Coach, as you head into year 2, what defines a successful season for Cincinnati?
I hate to put end goals, but we know we want to play in a bowl game, and we're not going to shy away from that. That's everybody. That's what our guys. That's what they missed. That's what they haven't had an opportunity to do in the last few years. So I don't want to say, hey, we're going to set ourselves up for failure or put it unrealistic, but we know we can do this. I think we can be a lot better than that, so I don't want to set ourselves short. So for us to really to play our best ball at the end of the year, if we can do that, because I think we're a lot further along than we ever were last year. If we can do that, I know we'll be in a position to be able to play, in January or one of those situations late in December, and then give us an opportunity to be at that end mark where we can play for championships.
And I'll tell you this, when I think Cincinnati, and obviously I'm a little biased for thinking, Mick Cronin basketball, but with the whole athletic department, I think loyalty, I think development, and a little bit of a chip. Yeah. It seems like the guys that come to Cincinnati, you don't always get the All-Americans and all that, but they end up becoming, pros that are loyal to the program, or guys that really have competed at the hardest level their entire career there.
Well, it's about the development, and I think that if we can do anything, we can learn from Mick Cronin and what he's done with his program. And I know what he took over from and the things he had to go through the ups and the downs. But if you really step back and say, okay, what's going to be successful in our culture? And I don't just mean our football culture, but our culture as an environment, our culture as a university, our culture as a community of University of Cincinnati. And Mick has done a great job. And if we could model ourselves after that and develop those guys, have some players like he has, I think we'll be in a great position.
Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes to stop by our set, and we wish you the best of luck here in the 2018 season. Thanks so much. As we get ready to close out our show, we're going to have our whole crew join us here on the set. But Andy, as we get these guys mic'd up and ready to go, let's look ahead a little bit what's coming up tomorrow. We're going to be joined here by Andy Gresh as well. We have interviews with players, coaches, and roundtables throughout the day. What are you looking most forward to learning?
Well, first of all, we've got the Heisman here. I don't know how good an interview it'll be, but the Heisman's here. But
he's a quiet guy.
Yes, I know. But I mean, as Luke was saying, I mean, we want to hear from the players, because I think the guys that obviously come to an event like this are usually your high character guys that can discuss their programs incredibly well and have developed to becoming representatives of their programs. As we said, this is a conference that certainly, has potential to once again produce potential Heisman candidate Ned Oliver and national teams. We don't know if it'll be a UCF again, but something like that. I think there are teams like that in the mix.
All right, let's welcome.
Look, we're going to have
Garrett, come on over
one
here.
of the all-timers stepping up here.
Get the whole crew.
And Kevin
Come on
Nagandi,
in
though,
here.
coming up
it's
here.
It's getting dark. Garrett, for you, what was your favorite part as our sideline reporter today? What was this experience like for you?
This experience was amazing. It was everything I expected it to be. Probably my favorite part was just interacting with all the guys. We go against these guys day in and day out, and you never really know what kind of guys they are off the field. So when you get to talk to them in a setting like this, pick their brain a little bit, you really know what kind of character guys you're talking to.
So you made some friends here today, it's safe to say. And outside of your own group, who was like the coolest team to talk to?
Coolest team to talk to? Probably I'd say UCF. And then USF, just because that was both of those teams were very interactive with me. Some guys, when I picked out an interview, they kind of just fall back. But with UCF and USF, everybody was involved in talking to me. They all wanted to do it. They were all jumping at the bits to get the interview. So that was pretty cool. So I don't know if they want to talk to me or they want to talk to the camera. So draw the fine line.
Did you crack a lobster?
I have not.
Because I got it all over me.
Yeah, I have not.
I whacked that thing. I whacked that thing. It splattered. I needed a smock, you know.
Well, I'm definitely going to go get a bib when I get over there, and I'm probably going to eat my weight loss.
Let's get Kevin Nagandi on here on the set. He is hosting our coaches roundtable tomorrow. Let's just squeeze in here.
All right.
By the way, you can tell that he's already in the media business. He hasn't eaten yet till the job is done.
Yes,
Andy,
that's right. I know. I was for it. But listen here, Kevin is a grad of Temple. He's had the unbelievable honor of speaking graduation.
Yeah.
And for those out there that don't know the Temple football history, there was a chance where that program was almost kaput.
Yeah.
I mean, you have seen it from here to here.
Yeah.
How would you assess the growth of that program?
Amazing. By the way, Andy, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
I want to go right in there.
Yeah, so you know, the most amazing thing about Temple football is I was there in the mid-90s when they played at the Vet. We had 5,000 people, and we were in the Big East, and 4,000 people were for the opposing team, you know. And we won a total, I would say, maybe 7 games in my 4 years of covering that program. So the idea that they were dead and they were actually thinking about canceling this program, like you mentioned, 15 years ago, to be here to talk about, hey, they came off a bowl win, and Jeff Collins and Matt Rule and Al Golden, you know, the guys that have set the whole thing up. It's been an amazing run. I am blown away by it. We had a nice conversation with Jeff a few minutes ago, and of course Pat Kraft, who's the AD. And to me, I would have never, in my mind, thought that this program would be in this position just a few years ago, almost beating Notre Dame on ABC. You know, Saturday night we were
having
this
a college
close.
game day.
Yeah, the idea of a college game day in Philadelphia because of Temple.
Right.
No, that's like the Eagles winning the
Maybe
Super Bowl.
Villanova in the winter,
yeah.
not Temple. No, but not Temple in the fall.
Exactly. So.
There's no secret you're a Temple fan, and as the conference celebrates its 5-year anniversary, part of these 2 days has been talking about all of these marquee moments that this conference has experienced in its youth, and a lot of those great moments coming from Temple. Conference championship, some big non-conference wins. What has been your favorite moment?
Wow, you know, the idea that when Temple did what they did against Navy a couple years ago, to win in DC and to win the conference championship, how they did it, I got to tell you that leading into that game, we were a little unsure. At least I was unsure. They had not found their way to play physical football and to handle Navy the way they did. This is just a personal opinion. I didn't go to the game because I wasn't sure if they were going to play well. And I regret it like every single time I see Temple play. And I went to the bowl game a few weeks later, but I told my wife I was watching the game. I was like, why am I here and not there? You know, and you know, that was Matt Rule's last game. And for the players to leave the legacy, the Hassan Reddicks, the guys that really made sure this program was legitimate after what we had seen through the years, it gave me great pride. For me, that's my personal favorite.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of the coaches here, we've had other guys on about the UCF succession.
Yeah.
Scott Frost to Josh Heupel. I mean, the fact that a program can survive that.
Yeah.
What is, and we expect them to.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see what happens on the field. You cover it obviously nationally on SportsCenter and everything else, and have done college football on ABC and ESPN. What would that tell you if they're able to survive a coaching change like that at a program like UCF, which a couple of years ago didn't win a game?
Yeah, it's lightning in a bottle too.
Yeah.
You know, like you mentioned, you go winless and then you go undefeated. The idea that if Coach Heupel can sustain this, the one good thing is he has stability at quarterback. But the big thing, if they can sustain winning, I'm not saying they should go undefeated, but if they're a 10-win team, that means you have a culture that's created in that environment that's going to last 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, where these seniors pass it on. And I think that's the most important thing when you talk about coaching changes. Can you maintain the culture with the players that still remain? The juniors that are still there from the previous, can they continue that? And that's the key. If UCF can win 9 games or 10 games and continue that culture, I'm not saying it's hey, they could win with any coach. I'm saying that you're maintaining the idea of what Scott Frost instilled in this group, and you're carrying it over, and it becomes contagious with the program.
One last thing, Hilly. I want to go back to his career here because he started in the Sarasota-Tampa market.
Yeah.
So
Missouri before that,
okay.
Kirksville, yeah.
Right, so you've seen college football in the state of Florida. For UCF and USF, from when you were there, trying to compete against Florida, Florida State, Miami, the big three in the state, and now they've got identities with those two. How have you seen that develop from when you were there to now?
Andy, it's a great point. So I was there in 2000, 1999, 2000, 2001, all the way to 2006. So the one thing I would describe Florida football-wise is cyclical. Everything happens in cycles. So when Florida State's up, Florida's going to be in the middle, Miami's down. And then they do this rotation. The difference is when you add, because there is so much talent that does not go to Florida State, that can't qualify to get into Florida, as well as Miami, they come around and they stick around at USF, UCF, Florida Atlantic. You start to see really this state at a max. And I think when you have Charlie here and you have Heupel and what he's done, you know, and trying to recruit the base that Frost has brought in, it just gives headaches to programs like Florida, where Dan Mullen's coming in trying to find the identity, because immediately kids can say, I can win right now at this program and play in a Power 6 conference.
And get to the NFL.
Exactly. And you see that with Shaquem Griffin. You see that with some of the guys that they've developed. And USF has a ton of talent. USF, to me, on the west coast of Florida has had, it's been sitting there waiting to explode. And the idea that you have the name of Charlie, and Charlie is recruited in Florida when he was with the Gators. He knows all the hotbeds. He's going to come in, and within 2 to 3 years, you're going to see the blueprint, the stamp that Charlie Strong can have there. And that's dangerous to all the teams that we know, like the Florida States, the Miamis, as well as the Gators.
I think it's safe to say one of the best college football games we all witnessed last year was that war on I-4.
Yeah.
USF, UCF in that final week of the season.
Yeah.
And I just think that speaks to the level of football they're playing.
Yes.
Between both of those schools, I imagine it's going to be a pretty good game again this year.
And the biggest key, too, is I think what you're seeing, too, is establishing tradition. Because when you look at the three major schools, and sometimes Miami is a question because where they play off campus, you have it at Florida and Florida State. The key is making sure you can establish this type of tradition at UCF and USF, that no matter what happens, when you have coaching changes, you still have the stability of the fan base. And that is so important for those programs to continue as they can expand, I think, with their footprint in the state.
Look, Florida may have the football players, but I'm sorry, they don't have this.
No,
behind
they
it.
don't. No, they don't. They have the best Clambake in the world, man. I wouldn't miss it.
I love
Speaking
this
of
view.
which, we're about to lose this great scene behind us because it is getting dark, people are getting hungry, and I'm getting yelled at. So, But before we go, let's look ahead to tomorrow, because you're a big piece of tomorrow. We have a live show. Andy Katz, Andy Gresh will be joining us, myself, as well as yourself, hosting the Coaches Roundtables. Can you give us a preview of some of the conversations you hope to spark among the league's head coaches?
I think I'm kind of curious to hear what they have to say about, of course, health. Health has been a huge topic, and the future of college football. You know, the idea of redshirting, I mean, it's a game changer with the chance to play a kid for 4 games and then you could still save them for a year. That changes entire outlooks for teams and how they want to approach things in September and October. Those are the conversations overall that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to dig a little bit deeper with specific topics with each team.
We look forward to those discussions. And let's get Garrett back over here, because I think this guy, he deserves a shout out. All of his teammates, they're camped out, they're eating lobsters, and he's been patiently waiting here by the set, waiting to wrap up this
the
show.
chef said there's 300. There's plenty of lobster for him.
Can't eat till the job is done. So bright sign for you as you look ahead to your future. Thanks for your contributions today. You did a great job.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, well, on behalf of this crew, we're going to be back here with you tomorrow bright and early, 8:30 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Interviews with players, coaches, special guests. Kevin Nagandi will be hosting 3 Coaches Roundtables sessions. Andy's going to be hitting it on the sidelines, and we'll have Andy Gresh joining me on the set all day long. It's going to be a great day. Join us on Facebook. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night from the Clambake.